If you live with the constant fear and shame of saying, I have borderline personality disorder with your out loud voice, anxiety ridden that you might be locked up if you do, if you've ever felt so alone and isolated thinking, there's no other person on the planet that can understand what I go through every minute of every hour, and the message playing on repeat in your head is, I can't do anything right. If you have frequent thoughts of, I don't matter, everyone will be happier if I'm not around, I should just end it, only to fumble those efforts too, you're not alone, and you've come to the right place. Welcome to I Can't Even Kill Myself Right, your safe space. Here we offer a raw, slightly humorous, and compassionate inside look at what it's like to be a BPD warrior, while demonstrating this disability is not a life sentence. And oh yeah, there's some learning and mindfulness nuggets too. Before we jump into today's episode, it's important to know there might be explicit language and content that could possibly be distressing or triggering. If you choose to listen, please consider using the resources on our website, showmegrace.org, to reset. Please take care of yourself and don't be afraid to seek help if triggered. Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. Let's just say her personal truth is no one should have to human alone. Let me get that right. Los Angeles Times Today calls her therapy guru and a beacon of light. She's even a Jeopardy answer on the showmegrace.org website. So can you tell I'm personally obsessed, but in a good, non-BPD type of way? Hi, Dr. Tracy. So happy to have you joining us today. How are you doing?
Hi. Yes, it's an honor to be here. I'm doing good. I just did a Pilates class this morning.
Yes.
The fact that I need to regulate my mind before I start my day.
I love it. Setting the intention early. And
yes.
So since we're just officially meeting, do you prefer Dr. Tracy? Do people call you Dr. Courtney, Dr. C? What do you prefer?
Courtney. I mean, online we'll use Dr. Courtney. I'll use it in my emails, but just Courtney when we're talking.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I mentioned that I'm obsessed and I feel like I know a little bit about you, but for our listeners, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Dr. Courtney Tracy. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a doctor of clinical psychology in the state of California. I'm known online as the Truth Doctor to over 2 million worldwide by dismantling complex mental health topics into simple, relatable terms and stories and sharing the truth about my own mental illnesses and my own mental health conditions that have led me to live a very difficult life. And that difficult life also led to a very meaningful one that has helped a lot of people.
I'm one of them for sure. I can testify. Can you say a little bit more about what led you into this type of work? Was it primarily the firsthand experience, or were there some other factors?
Yeah, I went to rehab for substances, methamphetamine and psychedelics at 15 years old.
Wow.
I thought it was cool because it gave me an identity. And I didn't know at the time that I was searching for one because I lacked one. So I used substances for a long time and I specialized in substance use initially. And then I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder at the age of 20 in a psych ward. And I was getting my bachelor's in psychology. And I was like, can I do this thing?
Fun times.
Yeah. And I realized I can do this even with BPD. I can do this because I understand the experience and we are needed in the field. So as soon as I was diagnosed, I actually went full throttle. I'm going to get my bachelor's. I'm going to get my master's. I'm going to get my doctorate. I'm going to open up a treatment center. I'm going to get more than one license and I'm going to show people the inside of borderline personality disorder from both a personal and professional perspective.
You should not have opened up that Pandora's box. Do you have more time to give me today than because I could talk to you about that topic all day long. And thank you for doing that. And thank you for even being open to that's the gift and part of your mission, right? And the way you're going to give back. What keeps you connected to this mission? Because it's hard work, and it's not a lot of, you're doing a great job, unless you have that personal one-on-one, obviously, feedback. You're changing lives, though. So what really keeps you connected?
That's a good question. I think it would be easy to say that what keeps me connected is the help that I can see I'm giving other people online and at my treatment center. But the reality is that what really keeps me doing this work is that I still struggle. And that's okay. And that I am aware of a deep suffering that human beings can experience that many other humans are not aware of. And although I am in recovery and although I am stable most of the time, there are moments when I'm not. And because I live this, I can't ignore it. And because I feel it, I can't not try to heal it. And so it's because I know and I understand and I can't shut that out.
Because I feel it, I can't not heal it. Okay. We're going to steal that. We're going to start selling merch. And so we're going to
go ahead. Put my name on it. Feel free.
You heard it here. 50-50 split. I love it.
Sounds good.
I just had a really fabulous conversation recently with an individual who for 30 plus years has been doing BPD research, right? And she's now in her 80s, and she's got mixed opinions and kind of perspective about the word recovery and how we present it from a BPD lens, right? So, she and I had a very interesting debate, spirited debate about the word recovery. And so I won't recap. To let the listeners, you can go listen to that episode. However, from your perspective, how do you define recovery when it comes to BPD?
So I've thought about this a lot because I had my own internal and personal definition, and then I had a professional one. And then after receiving millions of input from the public perspective, I've learned kind of various ways to describe it using metaphors, and that recovery looks different for each individual, and that we deserve permission to say that. On a really high level, I consider recovery the same way that I consider recovering from severely breaking your leg. You may have a massive scar where you can't walk the same, you need to use certain tools, but you are recovered. And any doctor or hospital that you went into that saw this huge scar going down the front of your shin or down your whole femur would say, yes, you are in recovery. They wouldn't say this wound is still open. They wouldn't say it's still in pain, and perhaps you're not suffering.
Right.
They're just a little restricted because of experiences that you've had in your life. You're aware of what those experiences are and what they've done and how you need to adjust. Mm-hmm. So I apply that exact same mentality to someone with borderline personality disorder. Is there the potential where we could twist our mind the wrong way for a moment and start to experience a sense of pain or pull that reminds us of the pain we used to experience in the past? Absolutely. Can we go, oh my God, that is so painful. Oh my God, what's going on? Absolutely. That can happen at times, and that is okay. There has been a demonization and a pathologizing of typical human experiences. People get mad. People get jealous. People punch a wall because they're upset. People get sad and they don't get out of bed for a day. To me, that is not living a life of recovery. Being out of recovery with BPD would be where you believe that your life functioning is affected, or the people that you care about say that their life or your life functioning is being affected. It is subjective. It is malleable, and it is ever flowing. So recovery can have scars, and it often does.
Okay, I've checked in with the people, and the people say you can stay. And so we are in alignment in regards with our perspective on recovery. I do believe it's subjective and it is very individual. And I've been trying to find someone, and maybe you can connect me, we can talk after the show, but I've been trying to find a leader, in like the AA community, because I believe that whole premise, what I'm saying, is basically they figured it out, already. And if we could just shift it a little bit over to our community, I think we could apply some of the same, approaches and mindset, to it. And I'd love to interview some of those folks to get the ball rolling there. Speaking of shifting, the stigma and shame is real. I live a life of isolation. I'm a career and leadership coach, and I've been doing it for 30 years, right? I've helped thousands of people find their dream jobs. But at the end of the day, this is still a very real situation for me. And I call it my peace protectors. I have to keep them in line. And so to manage them. And so one of the things that I recognized early on is that I am, and most BPD warriors are, we can like smell an energy shift like from 1,000 miles away. And so it's like, you were happy and now you're not. What's going on? And it's so, and that attracts a lot of like the stigma and, and the shame of it, because we're the too sensitive. We're always too something. And that to me has been, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, what has shifted? You think about like the AIDS epidemic, right? Like what shifted? Because before it was so taboo. And then all of a sudden it was like this big marketing and this big like uprising and shift. And now there's resources. It's being, there's laws, there's things that support it. We're not there yet, and I look at all this research that this individual has done almost by herself for the last 30 years, and she still feels we're not there yet. And I believe the biggest shift is, do we need our own ambassadors? Are we going about this the wrong way? Do we need our own marketing campaign, or to shift the overall stigma and shame that comes along with BPD?
I would say that we do, because humans can be rigid in their concepts. And when humans create concepts out of fear, then they don't want to change them. So the outward behaviors of borderline personality disorder that create the stigma are behaviors that nobody really wants to enact. When we act very angry, another person would feel shame if they acted angry too. So automatically our behavior is bad. It's bad to them. It's bad that we're doing it. And so the hardest part about it is that people cannot get over their own righteousness about what they think about our symptoms and if they're okay or not. And if they could accept their own anger, then they might be able to accept even a slight bit of ours. Yes, ours can be far out of proportion to the context and situation at hand. And at the same time, if there isn't any allowance for us to be humans in general, then we're never going to be seen as such. We're only going to be seen as our disorder. And one of the arguments that I make in my book, Your Unconscious is Showing, is that the symptoms and criteria of borderline personality disorder are oftentimes like the ingredients of a salad. And I call this my salad metaphor. If you go into a kitchen, you have tomato and cheese as two of your ingredients. Then the next week you go to the store and you buy a lot more ingredients and you make a salad. And then after that salad's done, you still have some of the tomato and the cheese left over. Would you tell yourself, this tomato and cheese is only for this salad. It cannot be used in any other context. It is only used for the salad. This might sound ridiculous, but there's a point. You would say, no, you could use the tomato for something else. You could use the cheese for something else. But when we think about mental health diagnoses and the criteria of them, let's say when we're younger, we had anger and difficulty with relationships. And everyone was like, all right, that's okay for now. Then we go throughout life. And we start to accrue these other criteria that start to come together and formulate a diagnosis or a label. Mm-hmm. So now we have the salad with its ingredients. and borderline personality disorder with its criteria. Then we get better into recovery with borderline personality disorder, but we still have those two first symptoms. Can we see those two symptoms as part of the typical human condition where we're allowed to get angry about some things? We're allowed to have difficult relationships in some areas. Can those be alone, individual, and purposeful? Or do they have to be symptoms of borderline and you're not okay and you're never okay? It's easy to say, yeah, the ingredients don't have to be a salad because that doesn't really harm people. It's not really about humans. But if we say these criteria and my anger doesn't mean I'm back in my borderline symptoms, people cannot take that because then that would require them saying, it's okay that I get angry sometimes too. It is okay. Anger is not borderline behavior. Anger is human behavior, and it's the proportionality that should be the focus.
Yes. That was a mic drop moment. And I wish I had the sound effects right now. I'm going to have to get them to put them in afterwards because thank you for that clarity and really reframing it. That's an episode, that's a clip that I'm going to have to make sure we promote when we're promoting this episode, because I really feel like that's a big disconnect for people where is shifting from the monster under the bed, and I almost wish I could find somebody to like make the big monster like, warm and fuzzy and this lovable character that we market that way. We start taking them to games, basketball games.
Right. Yeah, like the Duolingo person.
Exactly.
A little amygdala that just like runs around and is all cute.
The kids are hugging on them, monster.
Perfect.
So, let's humanize exactly what you just said. Anyway, like I said, I digress, but one of the things that is also pretty frustrating is the battle to advocate and find resources for yourself. And I found that they're at two extremes. So either you have to be at a certain level financially to be able to afford this, the unique resources, or the other extremes where you might be getting some, support from the government, et cetera. But then it's going to exacerbate symptoms because you've got to navigate all the administrative nightmares of dealing with those resources.
Yeah.
So part of the advocacy that we're doing is ensuring that the BPD warriors know that it is important to advocate for yourself because resources are far and few, right? And one of the things that we try to do is be a hub for those resources. But when you're thinking about successful, therapeutic outcomes, because like you said, with BPD comes a lot of uncertainty. So when we go in, we're fearful of saying, is my concern or my need valid? Can I ask for this for myself, or are they going to go, there goes the BPD horns rearing again, or is this a valid concern? So one of the two things that I have found for me personally over the years that have helped and what I look for in my relationship is upfront and clear boundaries. It's really almost like a job interview that I'm doing with them. And then a person-centered approach, to the journey. If you had to fill in that blank and the last, the third thing there that would make ingredients for a successful outcome, what would you say?
What's 1 and 2 again?
Upfront and clear boundaries and person-centered approach.
I think for me and the way I approach helping people with borderline is I would put I think I would put psychoeducation, and that might sound really basic, but that changed my life. And specifically psychoeducation about the brain and about the body, because our internal experience, like we feel our brain and body more than other human beings.
Yeah.
And we feel it, and it is scary. And we think it's us. like, because of our lack of identity and sense of self. And so we can drown in the experience of being our brain and being our body. And when we learn about the systems within it and the names of the parts and what they do and how we can control them, we learn that there are options. Mm-hmm. There are choices within us. We are not our borderline. Our amygdala is angry this morning. You know, it helps us feel okay and not like a monster. And when I am working with clients who have gone to so many other therapists, and the therapists simply work with them on the skills, which is incredible. Of course, we love BPD skills. I want my clients and everyone with borderline personality disorder to know themselves from their cells to their concepts. I want them to know themselves from the inside out, the way they experience themselves from the inside out. And the best way to do that is to give them the knowledge that we should have gotten when we first had big emotions, when we first had intense impulsivity. It can change. I have seen it change lives. And people are like, I feel better just reading this module of 3 pages about the brain because I feel in control. And that's what my
information.
The information about why you are the way you are, not even as someone with borderline personality disorder, as a human, because you have to control yourself the same way every other human does, just a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. And we got to talk to that amygdala, right?
Oh my gosh. He's so loud. Be quiet.
Not today.
Yeah, please stop.
So if you could go back and talk to your 8-year-old self, I feel like we only have 2 people we really need to be accountable for, our 8-year-old selves and our 88-year-old selves. So if you could go back and talk to your 8-year-old self to help prepare for this overall BPD mental health journey, what would you tell her?
8-year-old Courtney. Oh, man.
Hey, girl.
Oh, how you doing? Good. Oh, man. What would I say? What was she afraid of? What did she want? What did she think?
Well,
I think I would say, you won't believe it now when I tell you, but it's true. You will be your own savior.
That's so much. That is everything. You will be your own savior.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't even know what that means yet because you're 8.
Yes.
But that thing that you're hoping for is you.
It's gonna be your superpower. My goodness. Yes, Courtney. And so now we're gonna fast forward a little bit. We've got just a few more wrinkles, but the way that your skincare is going right now, I'm not thinking that you might have too many of all these wrinkles going on. But let's say, what would you plan to say to your 88-year-old self about how you navigated things here, how you navigated this whole journey, this BPD journey?
You know, I would say thank you. Because if I make it to 88, it was really hard. It was really hard. And I think truly the only thing to say, knowing what every moment must have felt like of those 88 years, thank you. Mm-hmm. To the 88-year-old body, to the 88-year-old brain, to the 88-year-old mind. You did it. You did the hardest thing you could ever imagine doing over and over again in times when you thought you wouldn't get through it. And you're 88 years old, Courtney. You did it. And I hope that we all make it to that point. And no one will really know just how hard it was, except for our community. Mm. I hope we're all 88 years old and we can look at each other and go, damn.
We did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't talk right now. Well, so, that was beautiful. Thank you for tapping into those two spirits for a second, and just really thank you for being here and present and sharing your insight. And I want to just throw the mic to you to say, is there anything part of your mission journey that we haven't touched on today that you feel is important for our listeners to hear?
Yeah, I think one of my really big points as the Truth Doctor, which I would say I haven't done the best job making simple and clear on my platforms, but I call my book Your Unconscious is Showing to emphasize the word unconscious in comparison to the word subconscious. And there's a reason. When we use the word subconscious, what we're saying is that everything that we're not aware of, everything that controls us that we don't control, is beneath. It's beneath our conscious awareness. And the reality is that what you can't control and what controls you isn't sub. It might be unconscious because you're not aware of it. But the important thing that I want people to know is that we need to level the playing field. As much as our conscious awareness is helpful to us, so are the aspects that are unconscious. Mm-hmm. And our unconscious parts, as people with BPD might be, like I said, demonized, pathologized, seen as solely negative. These parts of our unconscious have kept us alive. They may have caused us pain, and they may have caused others pain. And we know, of all people, that matters to us, mm-hmm. what we've caused and what we can heal. And so I just want us to continue to work on accepting our unconscious parts and knowing that they are us. That is okay. We can be in control of them, and they need us. They need us to not run. They need us to turn and look, and they need us to say, I accept you so I can change you.
So thank you for just giving all of us our bedtime affirmations to listen to now that we've got. So I really, I can't say enough. Thank you very much for the insight, for sharing the hopeful, recovery-focused messages with our BPD warriors. And I know there's a lot of messaging out there that really comes from a place of, this is like a life sentence, and it's not. I just believe it's not. Yes, is it a journey? And does it feel like Sisyphus sometimes with the darn rock? But at the end of the day, it's still, I wouldn't change, the empath being connected to that side of things in order to help people. I wouldn't be able to help the people in the way that I do and be, if I didn't have some of those BPD, things going on. So it's, it's yin and yang, is what it is. Yin and yang.
Yeah. And I accept that, it's good.
1,000%. So before we go today, how can the folks find you? Give them all the stuff.
I can be found at my website, thetruthdoctor.com. I can be found on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at _truth_doctor. And I have a book coming out called Your Unconscious is Showing, Take Control of Your Life Using the 12 Steps of Consciousness. And I did a little bit about what you said, Nicole, where I took the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. I turned them into the 12 steps of consciousness for people like us. So check it out.
Stop it right now. And we didn't even plan that.
Yeah, I reached out to AA and I asked them if I could change the 12 steps to the 12 steps of consciousness for people with mental health struggles. And they said, go ahead. So
okay. As long as you keep it on the inside. I am screaming on the inside. Oh my God. Okay, that is amazing. I told you I already pre-ordered it, but I literally just did. I haven't been feeling well. So I went on Amazon, clicked the pre-order, and it said the March date, and that's as far as I got. And to know nothing is coincidence, synchronicity. Thank you. Thank you for doing that great work. And everybody, please get that book. This is how we move the needle forward, is through the research and through consistent messaging and unpacking all of these shameful messages out there. So thanks again for joining us. Hope you caught a nugget or two, and thank you, Courtney.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you caught a nugget or two. Don't forget to join us each week for guest interviews, first-hand experiences from BPD warriors, and learning about tools designed to aid you along your recovery journey. And most importantly, don't forget to say your BPD mantra daily. Dear BPD, I no longer have room for you to control my life. My warrior spirit will take it from here. Till next time, wishing you an abundance of healing, self-love, and grace.
As today's chapter of I Can't Even Kill Myself Right comes to a close, we want to remind you that you are not alone in this journey. And don't forget to take a moment to explore the showmegrace.org website, our initiative for those moments when life feels overwhelming, all dedicated to helping you press pause on the chaos and embrace a moment of peace. If you find yourself in crisis or standing at a crossroads, remember, help is just a phone call away by simply dialing the crisis hotline 988. Or contact your mental health provider and working your crisis action plan if you're considering harm to yourself or others. Your story doesn't end here. Your next chapter is yet to be written. Stay connected with us. Your insights, questions, and personal narratives fuel this journey. Wherever you tune in, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or another platform, your engagement shapes our mission. Share your recovery journeys or pose questions for future episodes by reaching out through our website. Your voice could light the way for others or even feature alongside us as a guest or co-host. And without further ado, to play us off for this episode, we have a song showcase featuring...
Light brown.